Now I'm sure you know someone who can eat whatever they want and they just don't gain weight. And then on the other hand, we all know someone who they walk past the bakery aisle and they gain 5 pounds. And this just leaves us with asking the question, why? Now, some of the things that we're gonna cover in this video is exactly looking at how fat loss works, why we get fat in the first place, and understanding that it's not as easy as just looking at calories. So we're also gonna be looking at energy balance and seeing how that plays a role in the whole equation. And then we'll also be looking at how hormones can affect everything else and just throw a whole wrench in the entire equation. So we're starting right now. What's up everyone, I'm your coach, Eric Bowling. Look, if you're brand new to the channel and you're tuning in for the first time, first and foremost, let me just go ahead and say welcome. I'm a coach and a fitness professional. I've been a personal trainer for the last 10 years, and I've been helping people just like you understand how this whole thing works and get in shape, and heck, maybe even see your abs for the first time in your life. Now, when we just boil fat loss down to an equation, on paper, it can seem to make sense, but then things really start to go out the window when we start to look a little bit deeper into the science. Fat loss doesn't just work like a math equation, because if it was just that simple, it'd be very easy for a lot of people to lose weight. You see, we know that 1 pound of fat is roughly 3,500 calories, yet why is it that after a couple slices of pizza, you can easily gain 5 pounds the next day? Or what about people who are so stressed that they don't eat much, yet still seem to be overweight and their weight just doesn't fluctuate much? Now, one of the big reasons why this whole topic is so confusing is actually something known as the third cause fallacy. Not a lot of people know about this, but it's the whole idea of mistaking that one thing is actually causing the other. So to give you an example, is being overweight the reason why a person eats too much? Or does eating too much cause a person to be overweight? Now, you would think, yeah, of course, eating too much causes a person to be overweight. But here's the thing, being overweight and eating too much are just two things that are being caused by a multitude of factors. And you see, this is the real reason why fat loss is such an issue, because each person is varied and individualized. So giving such a simple answer as to just saying, hey, you eat too much is not really solving anything. And I'll go ahead and give you an example by looking at something like a sleep study. Now, let's say in this example, you have 3 people in a sleep study who all suffer from insomnia. However, the underlying reason behind their insomnia can all be different. Person A might be struggling to fall asleep because of an actual GABA deficiency. Person B might be suffering from the recent loss of a loved one. While on the other hand, person C, little Timmy, just can't fall asleep because he has a bad habit of drinking coffee all the way through the night and playing Fortnite with his best friends all the way up until the last minute before bed. Now, as you can see in this example, while all people have the end result of suffering from insomnia or not being able to fall asleep, the causes are all different. And this is the same thing what happens with fat loss. You see, when we try to explain how a person got somewhere, we might say, well, they got somewhere because they were overeating. But that doesn't necessarily explain why they got there. And while it's so easy to just get a piece of paper out and write, oh, this is my calorie deficit, this is how many calories I need to be under, and this is how many calories I need to burn, while on paper that can be so easy, it doesn't necessarily translate into the steps you need to take to start losing weight. I remember when I first started a business, I got a calculator out and I started calculating, oh my God, if I just sold 1,000 products at this price, man, I would be a millionaire in no time. It's simple, right? I mean, why the heck doesn't everyone else start up a business? And you see, this is actually the biggest problem that can occur when you just have a piece of paper and you're doing simple math. And a lot of times we can be very mistaken and think that this is just how fat loss works. Now, while it's true when we look at it from the big picture, yes, energy balance is the main thing contributing to fat loss. But that doesn't necessarily mean why a person lost weight. It is only explaining the math behind how a person lost weight. So now this really leads us into the real question of, well, if there's so many multitude of factors that can be contributing to weight gain, where the heck do hormones really come into play? Hormones are really gonna be something that is happening as a byproduct of what is coming into the body from, let's say, food, and on the other hand, how lifestyle factors and other health factors are going to be playing a role. One of the weird things about leptin is that people who are obese have really high levels of leptin. But the leptin signal isn't really working because of something known as leptin resistance. And this can actually cause you to not feel satiated and just continue to eat as your body actually decides to burn less energy over time. Now, this phenomenon, this kind of negative feedback loop, could actually be one of the reasons why people struggle with dieting and losing weight. Now, studies have shown that things like inflammation, having elevated levels of free fatty acids in the bloodstream, and also having high leptin can all be some severe factors into how leptin resistance starts to occur. Again, when it comes to leptin, if you just focus on losing weight, your levels will go back down. You see, outside of injecting exogenous testosterone, there really isn't much you can do to directly influence hormones or how hormones are produced. So the only thing that we really do have control over is controlling our diet. So when a lot of people get so caught up in this whole hormone thing, if you just focus on optimizing your hormones, you don't really have to worry about calories. That's kind of like a chicken and egg argument. You see, which one really comes first? Are your hormones messed up because you're overweight, or are you overweight because your hormones are messed up? So you can see how we kind of use the analogy in the beginning to also use it with this one. You see, there's also gonna be a multitude of factors, because if you are getting very poor sleep, you're gonna be affecting your androgenic hormones, things like testosterone and growth hormone, and that is completely outside of nutrition and dieting. While on the other hand, if you're eating highly processed foods that are containing trans fats and high sugars, you might be causing a lot of inflammation in the body. And because inflammation is known to increase leptin levels and also leptin resistance, there are a lot of multitude of factors that can also be contributing to damaging hormones, which in turn is going to affect how your body is burning calories or how your body is storing calories. Now, I did make a video going on about how calories in, calories out is just science, right? That's how we define things. But as you can see with this, there is a lot more behind the door. Now, one of the things that we see with people who have a downregulated thyroid is that their ability to burn fat is actually impeded. Now, once again, as you can see, even though this hormone is the thing that's being affected, it's being affected within the realm of energy balance. And I think this is how you guys should really look at things. So before you get so caught up in the whole hormone thing, like I said before, at the end of the day, the answer on the whole thing, it's not that exciting. Because if you just focus on changing how you eat, you're focusing on eating less, you're focusing on eating better food, the hormones are gonna take care of themselves in the background. Now, if we were to take two people and we were to look at the differences, really the only difference is going to be the ratio between fat mass and fat-free mass. When fat-free mass is greater than your fat mass, you'll be lean and have visible muscle definition. When it's the opposite, you'll be searching on Google for quick strategies, or you'll be signing up for my free 8-week guide. So while hormones do have a big role in the whole thing, we have to look at other things as well, such as habits and lifestyle factors. Let's say for this example, we have Johnny. Let's say he's 20 years old and he's in great shape. However, over the next 5 years, Johnny gains 100 pounds. Now, how he gained the weight is pretty simple. He overate and wasn't as active anymore. Why he gained weight, on the other hand, is a lot different. So let's say for this example that his dad died. And let's say that because of that stress, this increase in cortisol caused Johnny to focus on eating more highly palatable, high calorie, low nutrient dense foods. By month 6, Johnny has actually built a lot of bad habits out of eating junk food. The ease of ordering food in instead of cooking for himself helps him get through the initial stages of depression. However, this repeated process over enough time has now become a routine for him. On top of overeating, Johnny's also experiencing higher levels of inflammation because of his poor food choices. His joints hurt more, and he's also getting worse sleep because of all the extra weight and the joint pain that he's experiencing. Now, after 1 year, Johnny no longer even recognizes himself anymore. So now when we look at a situation like this, where does he even begin? Well, if Johnny was my client and he hired me, you know where the first place that I would start would be? It would not be to tell him he needs to change his hormones. Exactly, we would look at exactly what his nutrition plan looks like right now. What do his daily habits look like? So I know that by changing his food and lifestyle habits, that I will indirectly be changing his hormones to be much better and optimized over time. So a lot of people will get so caught up with things like insulin and things like cortisol, and they'll think that when they get stressed, instantly fat is growing on them. And you have to remember that that's not how it works. If we were to just look at something like cortisol, for example, while cortisol does increase the likelihood that calories will be put and stored as fat on your belly, they will only be stored as fat in the context that you are overeating and you are chronically stressed. Now, the one thing that you can take home from this is that there's really 3 things that you have control over that will all indirectly be beneficial to impacting how your hormones are optimized. Number 1, it's the food that you eat. That's something that you have direct control over, and it's something that you can change today. Number 2 is lifestyle factors. Things like going to bed earlier, focusing on getting better sleep, all those things are gonna help to improve your hormone profile. And then last but not least is obviously going to be your activity level. You see, focusing on training and being more active, that's going to be something that is going to be helping your hormones. Now, a lot of people have fallen for the trap thinking that calories don't play a role and that hormones are the only thing they need to focus on. And let me know in the comments below, just let me know, was that you? Were you the type of person who thinks, yeah, calories don't really have a point, it's really just about hormones? But then I have to ask you the question, how do you influence your hormones outside of the realm of calories? And then also look, if you guys like this video, go ahead and leave a like and make sure that you guys also subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Now, speaking about hormones, if you guys are really curious about insulin and how insulin can impact weight gain, highly suggest watching that playlist there and just check that out right there. 8 weeks of nutrition and training, all yours for free if you need help getting started. As always, guys, stay strong and I'll see you next time.